Our top story at 5:30, an alarming trend in Baltimore. More people are becoming victims of violence.
6 young people have been shot in Baltimore since Monday. Tonight, we're questioning if there is a link between the violence and a poor education.
Alexa Ashwell begins our team coverage with more on the recent trend of shootings involving young people. Alexa?
Yes, we're talking about adult teens, young teens, and even children. All have fallen victim to gun violence here in the city just this week. The latest, a 19-year-old. It was in this northeast Baltimore neighborhood where a 19-year-old was shot just before 4 this morning. The circumstances unclear. This marking the 11th young person to be shot in the city of Baltimore just this week, and the numbers showing little sign of stopping.
It certainly is a disturbing and troubling trend.
Just 2 days ago, 4 children were shot in a quadruple shooting in East Baltimore. The victims, a 12-year-old, 2 14-year-old girls, and a 17-year-old. And the day before that, another 14-year-old and another 17-year-old were shot during what should have been school hours. Baltimore City schools once again dismissing early on this day due to a lack of adequate AC. These just 2 examples of not only young people being shot, but in multiples.
Most often that's what happens. You have groups of young people that are together hanging out. And if someone wants to come up and perhaps one of them is a target of violence for one reason or another. And so when a person, the perpetrator of the crime comes up, they just start shooting. And I mean, that just evidences a certain brazenness, callousness, a disregard for, the sanctity of life, where it's almost accepted that there will be collateral victims.
And according to some, little action is leading to little change. Act Now Bishop Angel Nunez believes accountability is a big issue.
If you do something, you got to deal with the consequences.
The bishop is also calling on the faith community to better collaborate with the city. Mayor Brandon Scott recently tweeting about meeting with the commissioner to discuss this week's violence involving youth.
Churches can do a major outreach for young people with the help of the city.
And right now, remember, the city is deciding how it will spend incoming federal dollars. Some city leaders have said they believe a portion of that should go to city youth. Reporting live outside police headquarters, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Across the city as police seemingly struggle to catch the bandits.
For some Baltimore City residents, these ATM thefts are more than just an inconvenience. Keith Daniels joins us right now with a live look at how it can be a major disruption in some communities. Keith?
Well, Kai, so far this year, the data shows us there have been about 23 ATM thefts in the city. It's a crime that's happening all across the city, but tonight we're told some areas could be left more damaged than others. It looks like the work of skilled teams of thieves. Hooded crooks targeting ATMs at convenience stores across Baltimore City, slipping away with the money. On the phone with Fox 45 tonight, Ron Gersley.
It makes my stomach just get wrenched.
Owner of ATM Enterprises says thieves have stolen at least 8 of his ATMs. One of them dragged from a corner store in East Baltimore back in December. The crime caught on surveillance video.
It's just wrong for the personal destruction of the property, and all the people that, of course, aren't going to be able to use the services.
Gersley says it's a crime that costs business owners, but believes some communities lose more, especially underserved areas with residents who need ATMs.
The larger banks, even the smaller banks, community banks, there's not very many spread out into the city. There's a lot of funding for social services that comes onto a card where they would use an ATM to get the cash.
Meanwhile, the search for the smash and grab thieves, with police trying to track them down.
What's going on is terrible. It's terrible for the people.
Well, the uptick in ATM thefts comes amid a decrease in bank robberies in Baltimore City. Now, of course, bank robberies are a federal crime that carries stiffer penalties.
You know, many community leaders say they can no longer wait on politicians and crime plans. And tonight, many church members are becoming crime fighters themselves. In the community of Sandtown, the struggle is still on. It's here where the Freddie Gray riots rocked the city to its core 6 years ago. And it's here where members of Simmons Memorial Baptist Church have watched as the problems continue to grow.
I want to know, how do we solve the issue? No one has a way in which to solve the issue.
During church services 2 years ago, someone was shot dead outside the sanctuary door here. Pastor Dwayne Simmons is now on a mission to heal the community.
Nobody knows what it means to talk to a mother whose his brains were splattered all over the street. I do. Every day.
For years, the church has watched as police and politicians sink millions into crime plans that never seem to deliver.
We are prosecuting drug dealing.
It's our plan to deal with the disease of gun violence.
All of them have come to one conclusion: nothing.
So Simmons is now developing his own crime-fighting solutions, and it starts from the ground up.
Stop talking to the shot and talk to the shooter. And the shooter will tell you exactly why they shot.
Simmons spent much of this afternoon strategizing with ministers from across the city. They're determined to do what government has not: cure the crime problem and stop the pain.
They are not out there because they want to be out there. They're out there for a reason. Let's uncover the reason, then tailor a prescription.
Simmons and other ministers will spend the next month attempting to tailor a prescription based on the knowledge they gain from those on the streets. He's convinced it's the missing component that many crime fighters have ignored.
We got a lot to cut through, and all of it has to do with having the patience, listening, understanding, and teaching. That's how we're going to get out of it.
Well, in October, church members believe they'll be armed with their own set of solutions, and they hope government will listen.